Good morning, good morning, good morning. We got a heck of a show for you this morning. Uh, we have Progressive Minds. Uh, we have Deputy Chief as the host. We co-hosting. My name is Kenneth Holloway, and I have a co-host with me, Laura.
Lloyd Parks.
So we want all y'all to get your pencil and paper ready, and later on we'll start taking calls. We appreciate you tuning in and looking at the show. So Chief, you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's get started.
Okay. Uh, Happy New Year. Good morning, and all that good stuff. Welcome to Progressive Minds. I'm Reginald Amos. Most of you know me as Deputy Chief. Uh, as Kenny said, he's the co-host, and Lori is the co-host, Lori Park. I want to thank the following for their assistance in making this show possible: Kenny Holloway, Lori Park, R.J. Watkins, Henry Tyler, Miss Cunningham, Renee, and Sean, the baddest engineer in the city. Okay, this show, Progressive Minds, will focus on the issues and challenges facing us in Detroit. Critical thinking, dialogue, citizen engagement, constructive criticism, and critique will provide positive results. Okay? The objective of Progressive Mind and this show and future shows is to identify issues and challenges facing us in Detroit. We have to stop the promotion and processing of ignorance in our community. We have to create a new political paradigm. We must promote community engagement, i.e. dialogue, citizen participation, educate the community, change the political culture in our community, identify and expose individuals and organizations causing us harm. The goal of Progressive Minds is to improve the quality of life in Detroit today and the future, promote the interests of the people, protect our future. Our future is our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and also to provide solutions. In order to accomplish the things that I just mentioned, we must focus on those who are causing us harm in our community.
That's right.
Regardless of what you've done 40, 50 years ago, times have changed. Times have changed, issues have changed, people have changed. Some people 50 years ago were with the people, and today they're not with the people. We understand in Detroit that, hey, you can endorse and support anyone that you want. This is America.
Yes.
But the problem is when your candidate or my candidate that we've endorsed is out of order, going against the interests of the people, then there must be a decision made to correct that candidate or push him aside, period. You cannot promote a candidate, a mayor, a council, congressman, or any other elected official whose interest is not the interest of the people. It just will not work. And that's why we're in the position today that we are. We're facing these challenges in Detroit. Now, there must be consequences imposed on the root problem of our community. The root cause of our problem in Detroit is collaborators with Mike Duggan, the mayor. Okay, this I'm known for making lists, and I made a list of collaborators, and it's very, very important that we identify the collaborators. Again, it's not personal. It's just the fact that it's hurting us as a community, as a people, and it's hurting our future, again, which is our children and our grandchildren. So to start it off, the list of collaborators: Jim Holly, Malik Shabazz, Akila Redmond, Wendell Anthony, Bishop Merritt, Bishop Coletta Vaughn, Benny Napoleon, Warren Evans, Kim Worthy, Council of Baptist Pastors, Charlie Beckham, Fannie Lou Hamer, Turnaround Detroit, 100 pastors that embraced Mike Duggan, Edgar Van, Bill Brooks, Betty Brooks, Jonathan Kenlock, Tom Wilson, Rick Blocker, Virgil Smith, Helen Moore, Joanne Watts, Theo Broughton, Janice Winfrey, Misha Stallworth, Keith Stallworth, Alma Stallworth, Keith Johnson, Tyrone Carter, Bernice Smith, Eastside Slate, Jim Jenkins, Ernest Johnson, Shrine of the Black Madonna, Sonia Mays, Buzz Thomas, Detroit City Council, 8 members, that's Brenda Jones, Janae Ayers, Cushenberry, thank God he's out of there, Benson, Andre Spivey, Leland, Tate, Mary Sheffield, Bishop Wayne T. Jackson, and this list is a living list. Living list means that additional people can and will be added. So, Kenny, Lori, you have anything that you want to say?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
My issue with a lot of them are, if you have not stood up with the people for the emergency manager laws that were in place, the right to work laws that were in place, the hepatitis A outbreak, and the mayor was going around the city telling everyone that the hepatitis A outbreak was the cause of drug use, when we all know that's C. That's hepatitis C is usually for drug use. It's a lot of different issues that none of them I have seen stand on the front line for. The water shutoffs. We have hundreds of thousands of people who have had their water shut off. Yes, they said that it is help out there for them, but a lot of people don't know where to get the help at. So yes, I have not seen any of them standing on the, most of them not standing on the front line for a lot of these issues that Detroiters are facing. Number one, I think Mike Duggan has came into this city as a carpetbagger. I don't believe that a lot of people believe that no one could win in a write-in candidate. All of the issues, all of the signatures, and all of the write-ins that we seen when we were down there were the same. No one has addressed those issues besides the Citizens for Detroit. So yes, it's a lot of issues in Detroit that we are facing.
Yeah, and she correct with a lot of stuff that's not being done. They had a little thing about Mike Duggan, like he was the savior of Detroit. We still don't have we don't have sidewalks shovel. I see when I'm driving, people walking in the streets. Bus stops is full of snow. People have to be talking about with lights. Lights, you have to stand up under the lights to be able to see the kind of lights that they put in our community now, which is sad. I don't know what's wrong, what happened to my people, or their minds, or they brainwashed, or all they think about is a job. It's people don't care about people no more in these positions, and it's sad that it's like that. You got good people that had setbacks, and you got people that's in positions that's study keeping their foot on their neck to hold them down by the way they voting and all the stuff that they doing to us in our community. And it's sad, taking people houses. People are losing houses because of taxes that they added on to people houses and stuff. And people don't have jobs. Our kids don't have recreation centers, that we used to have. So where did he save us from? What are we saved? How did he save Detroit? It seemed like we worse off than we was. We did have schools, recreation, and other things. So it's sad that people is speaking like that, and it's black people. And it's sad. I don't know what happened to my black people. You can't keep it real. I don't want no job where I have to kiss Rand or be a yes person. If I can't be me and keep it real 100, then that job is not for me. I'm my own man. I'm gonna speak what I feel as long as I know it's right. And people don't do their research. That's another thing. It's sad. But, it's real sad, Chief. I'm going to turn it back to you.
Okay. Just to piggyback on what both of you said is the issues, okay? The issues that we're faced with in Detroit is we've had gentrification. We've got poverty and concentrated poverty. We got this issue of this drainage fee, community benefit agreement. We have, we need to get the Citizens District Council back. We've got the water crisis. We've got the home foreclosure. And here's the biggest problem that we have. As Lori said, the mayor, he fits the definition of a carpetbagger, okay? His administration, the top people in his administration fit the carpetbagger definition also. The carpetbagger is the individual that come into a community, municipality, city, and promise you all the stuff to improve the entity, the city, the municipality. But in reality, they're there for themselves. And when you look at what's happening in Detroit, you see that Mike Duggan from Livonia, Tom LeWan from outside of Detroit, the other, 3 or 4 people that's making the financial decisions with our money, giving it to developers who are non-residents, okay? They are benefiting from our money, okay? They're benefiting from our money. Their families benefiting from our money. Their children and their grandchildren will benefit from our money. What will your children, my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren have? They will have debt for the next 30, 35-plus years.
That's right.
That's why it's very, very important that you listen to this show, have pen, pencil, and paper. We will give you the reference where we got our information and data from, so you can look it up yourself, and see what's going on. Because right now, it's a shame. You will not find what's happening in Detroit is happening anywhere else in this country. Right. You look at Alabama, you look what they did in this past election, and then this the new Senator Doug Jones, what did he do? He turned around after his election, and he appointed what's his name? Dana Grissom. Dana Grissom is a brother, okay, from the Obama administration, and Senator Doug Jones appointed him as his chief of staff. Now, the significance of this is Dana Grissom becomes the only African American chief of staff for a Democrat in the U.S. Senate. Okay? And this is a report, from a 2015 report from the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, found that there are no black chief of staff, legislative, or communication directors working for Democrats in the Senate. So if Alabama can make significant change in political direction, Detroit, we should do the same thing.
That's right.
We have to have radical change.
That's right. That's
We
right.
got to have radical change. It's critical.
Yes.
And like I said before, a couple weeks ago, I said that Billy Jones, a host on TV 33, Dr. Talk, he's the only one besides us that's doing what's right.
That's right.
Okay? He's promoting Senator Coleman A. Young II for Congress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay? Now, I've listened to the names that have been submitted for John Conyers seat, and so far I've come up with 22 names. The only one that's qualified, that has the skill, knowledge, ability, and experience is Senator Coleman A. Young II.
Yes.
The closest to him is, what's his name, Hanson Clark.
Yes.
And the reason I say Hanson Clark is because he was in Congress. So he has direct insight. But, to sit here and start talking about just because somebody is a lawyer, a judge, a sheriff, a common council person, this is why I say we have to change the paradigm. We have to change and stop this political ignorance that's permeating our community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? I mean, common sense would tell you
Yeah.
Coleman Young been in office for 10 and a half, 11 years, working both sides of the aisle. He have legislative experience. You Google Coleman Young II, and you see what he's done. And for me, I know for a fact, he's been on that front line every time the workers, whether they're fire, police, nurses, teachers, whatever, he's been on that front line. I can't say that for the 21 other people on this list.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. You're right, Chief.
Okay? And that's what we have to look at.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard people, and you all have heard people say, well, Chief, you can't talk about these people. We're not going to talk about. It's important. I'm not focused on these folks, but it's important that we know who they are, speak truth to power,
That's right.
and truth to power is most of these folk on this list, well, I put it like this, none of these folk on this list, other than Coleman Young, been on that front line
That's right.
with the people.
That's right.
Go ahead, Kenny and Laurie.
Yeah. It's sad that we don't see the light as black folks, the struggle that we done been through. They know a lot of these people jumped on there for a job. They tell you what they go do, and when they get in that position, we can't get in touch with them, no kind of way. They're not out there on the front line. They want to put Coleman down, but I agree with you. He's one of the only ones that been there fighting for us, and then they use every excuse to try not to put him in that seat, which is sad. As black folks, we are one of the only race that we are so hard on each other. Don't make sense to me, man. I don't understand that, Chief. It's sad. He should have been the mayor this round. He should have been in that mayor seat. He's been out there fighting, but they use his name, his age, his size, which is sad. His hair, what hat he wearing, sunglasses he got on, and, ain't none of us perfect. We're none of us perfect. We all have fall short. And it's sad that we're like that towards one another and wonder why we in the shape we in and we don't have nothing in our community as blacks or own nothing. We always waiting for the white person to come save us. I don't understand that. Why we can't save ourselves? I don't understand that. Where's the fight in us, that we used to have, our parents had. It's sad. A lot of these older folks, I don't know what, they done turn soft. They done turn real soft, man. And it's sad, for me to look at them, like I used to look at a lot of them folks. Like you said, they done sold us out, for a certain reason, for jobs, for money, for this and that. You sell your soul, to the devil. We getting hurt. We getting hurt by all these new politicians in there. We put these city councils up there and they ain't doing a darn thing. They done handed over our whole city, what we used to own, Belle Isle, Cobo Hall, Eastern Market, the Detroit Zoo. It's sad. Our people, we gave it to them. They didn't take it. We gave it to them. Right. It's sad.
Well, when you look at the fact of what's happening with our tax dollars, I mean, we're not against development in Detroit.
No, we're not.
We want downtown and Southwest Detroit, Corktown,
but we want our
Midtown.
people to have the jobs.
We want development there.
Yeah.
But we need development in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We need job training, skilled job training for residents of Detroit. Okay.
Yes.
We need jobs for residents of Detroit.
Yes, we do.
Now, when I hear the mayor say, "Oh, we got jobs.
Right.
When I hear Reverend Holly say, "Oh, we got jobs. What are they saying? 18 to 21.
Right.
What about the resident that's 30, 40, 50? What about those residents?
Right.
What about sustainable income?
Right.
Where you only work one job.
Right.
You're not working 2 and 3 jobs.
Right. That's right.
To support a family. And sustainable income is income where it's $40,000 on up.
Yes.
Now, I don't understand how anyone can even consider Brenda Jones for Congress. I really don't understand how they considered her for council.
Mm-hmm.
This woman sat on the Skilled Trade Task Force for 11 years, okay? Interacting with unions, skilled trade. You mean to tell me you can't get 51% of residents in Detroit trained in the skilled trade to work on development in Detroit? There's $500 billion scheduled for development in Detroit. You mean to tell me our residents in Detroit will not benefit?
Right.
But they're using our money?
That's right. That's right.
Come on, you people, you like I say, this ain't personal.
Right.
This is factual.
Right.
I mean, so like I say, when I told you guys before, I say this is a situation where you have Big Daddy, Mike Duggan, is using ignorant, on Candy Lane. Okay? That's the situation in Detroit. I told you that we should immediately get together as a community and get behind Coleman Young. And
Correct.
Coleman Young needs to get with us, okay, so he can win this thing.
Correct.
Okay?
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
Because if you already look and see what is Jonathan Kenlock doing. He's running the 13th
Yes.
congressional district as some folks say a dictator, but he's
Correct.
running it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You got to give the people the opportunity to speak. Okay? And so, with all this dissatisfaction of Jonathan Kenlock, I'm suggesting and recommending that everyone that's dissatisfied with the leadership of the 13th Congressional District demand that Brandon Dillon, who is the chairman of the Michigan State Democratic Party, remove Jonathan Kenlock.
Right.
Here is the contact number, 517-371-5410. And if anybody know the results of what happened yesterday in court, it's my understanding Jonathan Kenlock was supposed to have been in court on an assault issue. Please call in and let us know.
Hey, Chief, get that number one more time, just in case people didn't get it.
Yeah, 517-371-5410. And let me say this, Kenny. You know, we don't need Tom Wilson calling in saying what Brandon Dillon will not do.
No.
That's
He made a statement the other day after I called in on the show, and I was saying that Brandon Dillon removed Kenlock. This guy called in talking about Brandon Dillon would not remove him. Well, my response to that type of ignorant conversation is let Brandon Dillon tell us he won't do it.
Right.
correct.
I don't need a Negro telling me, speaking up for a white man, to tell me what the white man won't do.
Right. Right. You're right. You know, I just want to say this right quick too about our neighborhoods. We said we don't have money for the neighborhoods. We don't have enough money to put police in our neighborhood. But you take our tax dollar and give it to billionaires to build
Right.
stadiums and everything. When you should have took that money and built up recreation centers, put security in our neighborhoods, because our neighborhood is just as important as downtown to us, because that's where we live at, we sleep at, we eat at, we pay taxes at, So you take the taxes and give it to another part of the city and just say, the heck with us over here, and you expect us to sit quiet? That's why I don't understand my people, sitting up there and taking sides instead of fighting for what's right in our community so we can have something in our community.
Right, like those hardest hit funds that were supposed to go for people to stay in their homes. Instead,
Yeah.
he used it for demolition, to tear down a lot of homes that could have been saved. That's one of my issues too. Dan Gilbert has a lot of money. And for him to be paying minimum wage to residents who live in the city of Detroit is unconceivable to me. He
Sad.
can afford to at least pay $15 an hour. He makes billions of dollars in profit.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And they talk about Coleman Alexander Young II. He was groomed, I believe, for that position for the U.S. Congressperson. All the laws that he have passed up there in the Senate, it's historical. The family maternity leave for the police and fire women. That's historical. They never had that before.
That's
The
right.
movie credit money that he got sent here.
That's right.
The money that was sent for the Charles H. Wright Museum, which would have been closed down. All of that money. All of those things are historical. The drainage fees that are imposed on a lot of these small churches, that they won't be able to pay that money per month. You
That's
know,
right.
that drain, that's a fee. You don't have to pay it. That's crazy for somebody to say you're gonna charge them $600, $700 a month for some water falling out the sky into the drain, and you have no way of calculating how much has went down there.
That's right.
The bus stops. I looked outside the other day when it was snowing. The people were with their children with in tow, standing outside in the middle of the street. We used to have jobs where the people went around and cleaned off the bus stops so that people would have somewhere to stand besides in the street.
That's right.
So those are a lot of issues that need to be addressed. Seems like we're going backwards instead of forward.
Yeah.
Well,
That's-
you know, they say history repeats itself, and I know when I was working with the fire department, I was always telling my personnel that if we're not careful and if we don't get political, Detroit is going to go back to the 40s and 50s.
That's right.
And from what I see in Detroit,
It's on its
it's
way.
there right now.
Yeah. Well, you want to take a couple of calls,
Yeah,
Chief?
go ahead.
Okay. Caller, we coming to you. Hello, caller. Happy New Year's to you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of talk about the election. Now, I think we already know that in Detroit, the people, when they vote, they don't have the last. They vote is not the last say. The financial review commission can change anything that we vote on in Detroit. So our vote really on the local level don't count. We know that all our assets, the housing is under the Land Bank Authority, who is mostly white suburban. They control all the houses that once they go to court, they gave over to them and all the land. Now, just say, for example, we send someone to Washington, and they say, okay, we're going to give some money for housing. Well, usually it go back to money comes from Washington to the governor. He sends it to that agency that handles the housing. It never will get to the ordinary black citizen who don't have houses, because the housing, the Land Bank Authority is hoarding houses, and for the immigrants to have, where we will be moved out of the city. So we can look at any assets, they'll allow. It's not controlled by us. So if money goes for recreation, will go to the state that handles it. So sending someone to Washington and they cannot deliver the benefit to us. I want someone to tell me how sending someone to Washington under the situation we under right now, not what should be, could be, and all that. How sending someone to Washington can benefit Mary and Joe on Hartwell Street, on Finkel Street, when it comes to housing. If the land bank, the money goes to the land bank, and the land bank got a policy that they want to give the money to New Detroit and move old Detroit out. Or whatever, let's be specific. If we're going to send somebody to Washington, what could they actually benefit? How could they help us? And I want somebody to help me to understand that.
Okay, let him answer that. Okay, thanks, Tyrone. You want to answer that, Chief?
Yeah, the thing is, Tyrone and I, we've had this time conversation and similar conversation many times. I'm not going to burn up my airtime repeating it. But here's a snapshot. He talked about the Financial Review Committee. There's a process, and I explained that process to him. I explained it to other TV hosts on other shows. It's called the CAFR, okay? The process is proper budgeting forecasting, okay? The Certified Annual Financial Report every city across this country have a CAFR, okay? And the CAFR process is the preparation by the municipality. In Michigan, it's reviewed by, in our case, Detroit. Detroit will prepare the CAFR. They will review the CAFR. They will submit the CAFR to the Michigan State Treasurer. The Michigan State Treasurer will review it, approve it, or send it back for resubmittal. Okay, and it goes from there. Now, if the Michigan State Treasurer approves that budget, then the Financial Review Board have no reason to step in and do anything against our budget.
Okay.
Next caller, please.
Yep. Hello, caller. Will you say your name? Happy New Year's to you. Hello, caller. You on the air?
Yeah, this is Kurt. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Hey, the only problem I got with voting, yeah, I can hear you.
Turn your TV down. You got an echo back there.
Okay, here we go. 3 TVs down.
Thank you.
I'm not to criticize, okay, but not to criticize either one of these last two gentlemen because they both are putting it out right.
Right.
The only problem is once you get one of these people in office, if they're not doing anything for you to benefit all of us, then that means you have to wait 4 more years or groom somebody for 4 years to get them in office.
Right.
I have a problem with people relying solely on politicians to make things right for us in the city. We channel all our attention and power into hoping that an elected official can change things in the city. You know, they can't help all of us. You got to keep in mind the first thing the governor did when he got in office was got rid of the union.
Right.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
You're right.
We're talking about people who challenge issue as a whole.
Right.
And that's all I'm talking about. When we deal with this thing, we got to deal with this thing as a whole people, you know.
And you're
for instance,
correct.
it's 4 years that you're talking about. Can you imagine at least 250 or 3,000 people giving up $5 to $7 to be in a union? And when 300,000 people speak, somebody's going to be listening.
Right.
I can't understand why we need to sit back and wait on a mayor or a governor to make changes in our neighborhood. You said it yourself a few minutes ago.
That's right.
These are things we need to do ourselves. I know we're being cheated. I know we have already paid our dues, and these people should be doing right by us. But have they done it? No. And they're not going to do it because they got you all bogged down and hoping that you can get things done through politics. Politics has failed us. Slavery ended in 1865. That's 152 years ago.
Right.
We've been in a politics for the whole 152 years, and where are we right now? Nowhere. You see what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is this, is that you're in a fight for something. You can't channel all your resources into voting, hoping you can get something done through voting. It's not going to happen. It has not happened. It ain't never going to happen. You understand? What we need to do is unify ourselves.
There you
so
go.
when we speak, there's 300,000 people speaking. Not
Okay.
no just a Comey Young Jr. or one politician up in Congress or in Lansing somewhere. All of us will be speaking with one voice and that's in Scripture.
Okay.
Believe it or not, it says that as long as you got one voice and one man, nothing shall be withheld from you.
Okay.
So that's all the hell we got to do. Why would you sit around 4 years and wait on Coleman Young to get to office to make something happen for us? And thanks for taking my call.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you for calling. You know, you're correct with that. It take us, but how you go get us together? Because we've been fighting to try to get us to get out and do things together for hundreds of years or years since I've been born. So you're right. We you know, a lot of people put they trust over in politicians because he's supposed to be a spokesperson for us, but we ain't got ourselves together to go to him to give him nothing to speak to about. You know, it's us hurting ourselves. Look at our community.
Right.
We won't even come together and watch out for one another. I hear what you're saying, but until we get off our lazy butts and quit worrying about this and that and worry about our community as a whole, like you said, you know, that's the problem. It's us. I've been in this city over 60 years, and it's us in the community. I look at my neighbors they won't even pull their trash cans in, man. Today, we get trash pickup on Friday. They still got their trash cans sitting out in the street where cars got to duck and dodge on Tuesday, Wednesday. They won't even sweep. It don't take money to sweep your sidewalk. It don't take money to rake your grass. You can borrow a rake from your neighbor. It's us. You know, I understand what you're saying, brother, but we got to start within us first. If we don't know how to come together, that's the problem we have in our community. It's us. We won't say nothing. We won't speak on nothing. You know, and things. That's one of the biggest problems, us.
Lori, go ahead.
You go ahead, Lauren.
Well, you're all correct because I do see it in the communities. I think a lot of times that the people have, lost. They don't feel like they used to feel a lot of times. You know, when you see so much vacancy with the houses around you, a lot of times, you know, your spirit goes down because your city government has let you down. And I think we went to like 6 or 7 community meetings within the last 2 months before the year ended that Mike Duggan had to make up. And
Yes.
it was more of his staff there than it was of the community. You know, I understand that the weather maybe was not that well, but he had over, I know, at least 100 staff and police there. I have
right.
never seen that in my city. Are they so afraid of the citizens that they have to have that many police officers
Right.
in a building at one time because of the outbreak? I guess they might happen, but people come there. He was making it seem like that the meeting was all based on you had to ask a question. You don't have to ask a question in an open meeting that's in the city of Detroit. You have a right to make public comment. And each time we went to the meeting, he kept asking people, well, questions. I said, no, this is an open meeting. You can make public comment. He did not want to hear anything about the hepatitis outbreak when we all know that we all should know that hepatitis A outbreak was based on a lot of the water shutoffs in the city of Detroit. It comes from people when they were at when they work at the fast food restaurants, let me say, a lot of them, and that's where a lot of the outbreaks were, at fast food restaurants. These workers make the lowest wages. They cannot afford the $75 a month that the water bills are right now. He says, well, to come and tell them that their water is shut off. People are not going to come and tell you, most of them, that their water is shut off because they will lose their children. So that means when these workers went to work every day, that one day they might be cleaning the lobby. That means cleaning the restrooms. So that they don't have water when they go home to wash their uniforms. They only have one uniform. So the next day they come back to work, they are flipping your hamburgers and making your fries.
That's right.
So that's uncleanliness, and that's
right.
where hepatitis A came from. If we hadn't stepped up and talked about it consistently at those meetings, they would not have. They eventually put some ads on the radio talking about the hepatitis and where it came from. They did at least put out some pamphlets to some of the rec centers. I said, well, what about the schools? I said, these are where the parents are that's picking up their children. They might not have a radio. They might not have came to a community meeting. So this needs to be out. The mayor is not the mayor for this city. This is my opinion. Lloyd Parks' opinion, you know, is not to do with any organization that I belong to, and I do belong to several. So I want people to know that this is my opinion. And yes, I take offense to anybody coming from a city. The last census that was at least 92% Caucasian into a city that at the last census was 88 to 89% African American, telling me and my citizens what to do.
Right.
You know.
Well, thank you, Chief. We got 2 more calls, and then we're going to let you close it out. Hello, caller. Say your name.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Happy New Year to both of you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I just want to agree with Kirk. I've heard him come on these shows before, and I've heard him talk before. I know exactly what he's talking about, and what I would actually like to do, rather than repeat what he just said, I want to leave my number at the front desk
Okay.
for him to contact me.
Okay.
I mean, I will leave my number. He can contact me because I know exactly what he's talking about.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to take it or if I'll
You
leave
can
it at
call-
the front
you
desk,
can-
but thank you.
Well, you can say it. If you don't want to say it, then you can leave it at the front desk.
Okay, I will do that.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Hello, caller. Say your name.
Brenda.
Okay. Hi, Brenda.
Hi. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Kenny.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Brenda.
Yes, and I would just like to piggyback on what both of you said. One of the problems is that our city is 60% concentrated poverty, which means that if our leadership is not speaking to them, they're not speaking to the majority,
Right.
which is what government is supposed to do. That's democracy. The majority rules.
Mm-hmm.
We have leadership that speaks to the top 1%, and their objective is to make more money for themselves.
Okay.
There is no way you can tackle poverty if you're not willing to lose money,
Right.
because that's what makes poverty, the lack of money.
Right.
Not only that, with us not having a school system that tries to educate our children instead of just socially passing them, then we have people who live in houses who don't know how to be citizens. You have to learn how to be a citizen and what's required to be a citizen.
Okay.
And that part about not taking your garbage can back in is a form of protest. They know they should take their garbage can back in within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But their situation is so dire that their only way to speak out is to be passive aggressive.
Okay.
Because the city has the right to come and write them a $500 ticket. If you don't have money to pay for the living situation, how are you going to test the system to see if they write you a $500 ticket?
Right.
We have to make sure our leadership speaks to the majority,
Right.
and they're not. If we did not have a great downtown and a great cash corridor, would our people still be in 60% poverty? No, because before Duggan, poverty was less. We had less poverty.
Right. Okay.
And because he's come in and paid attention only to the top 1%, that's why poverty and violence and the lack of education has gone up.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna we thank you for that information, Brenda, and we're gonna go back to Reggie, Deputy Chief.
Kenny?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, we are not just focusing on a candidate, Coleman Young or anybody else, to solve our problem. That's Coleman Young would be a component of the solution.
Thank you.
Okay, and Kurt, I mean, I agree with what he's saying. If we were dinosaurs or operating on a 20th century concept, but we're focused on a 21st century concept.
Yeah.
And Kurt and anybody else, you can listen to the show in the future. The next show will be the 23rd of January, same time, 10 o'clock to 11. And if you want, you can take my number, 313-399-8290. Again, 313-399-8290. We can sit down, dialogue, and come up with solutions.
Yep.
But believe me, we're not focused on one individual.
Yeah.
It's going to take all of us getting engaged. I said that in the beginning.
Right.
Correct.
It's about community, dialogue, and engagement. And
Right.
just like you said, Kenny, the people have to get up off their behind
That's right.
and do their part.
That's right.
The elected officials can only do their part, and their part is to represent our interests.
Yes.
That's why we have to put Coleman Young in there, because he has always represented
That's
our
correct.
interests.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're not getting it now. You didn't get it for 30 years from Kanye.
That's correct.
You're definitely not getting any representation from Big Daddy Mike Duggan.
That's
Right.
correct.
Okay, I mean, the truth is, as they say, the truth is the light.
Right.
I mean, I respect Conyers, but again, if you don't have succession planning, you run into this problem that we have today
Right.
out of the 13th Congressional District.
Right.
So again, this show and the future shows of Progressive Minds will focus on our interests,
Right.
improving the quality of life in Detroit for the entire city,
Right.
Correct.
our future,
Yes.
our children, our grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
This show will not focus on the universe, Elijah Muhammad,
Right.
what Jesus did 2,000 years ago.
Correct.
We're going to focus on what's happening today, what's
Right.
impacting us today, and we're going to come up with solutions.
Okay.
It's just that simple.
Right.
And one of the things I like for the people like Ken or Kevin or whatever his name was, and the lady that called in supporting it, is, okay, you've identified a problem, come up with a solution,
Correct.
and we can all sit down and compare, and we can dialogue.
Yes. Yes.
We can take the best and come up with one hell of a solution.
Yes.
That's what we're supposed to do
Yes.
if we're going to move ahead.
Okay.
It's going, again, it's going to take all of us.
All of.
So, hey, I thank you. I thank you, Laurie.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
I thank
Thanks.
Candleman,
All
Kenny
right.
Holloway for co-hosting. Looking for working with you guys
Okay.
throughout 2018.
Yes.
Yes.
And the next show will be the 23rd
Okay.
of January, same time,
Right.
10 to 11.
Okay.
And again, my number, if anyone wants to call, 313-399-8290.
Okay. I think.
Hey, I want to thank, also thank my engineer.
Okay. I think we might have one call left. Right quick.
Can we take that one
Okay.
last call?
Okay. Hold on. Hello, caller. We got about a minute and a half left. Go ahead. Hello. Well, I guess they're not on there. Well. Okay.
that's it.
Okay. All right, Chief. We thank you for having us as your co-host,
Yes.
and we'll be
Hey,
looking
hey.
forward to working with you again. You know, and we thank the people that called in and spoke their opinion. We have no
Yes.
problem with people calling in, speaking their opinion, and we'd like for more to call in. That's the only way we'll get to the bottom of things, and we can build our city back up, the whole city, like Deputy Chief said. We need the whole city, not half the city.
Right.
You know, so we
And
appreciate
look out
it.
for everyone, not just a few that's clumped up around the mayor. We need to look out, like you said, for all of the city.
Exactly.
And thanks again. And
Okay,
thanks
thank
again,
you.
viewer. You're welcome.